Okay, folks, welcome to this week's Fife Property Market Update. I'm just going to hit the button on Instagram and make that live as well, so bear with me. Here we go. Okay, so this is the Fife Property Market. Welcome to the viewers on Instagram. This is the update from the 21st of May, last week, to yesterday's 27th of May. This is a look at the whole of the Fife Property Market if you don't know what this show is all about, and it's primarily to assess exactly where we are right now in terms of the numbers, in terms of supply and demand. It gives us a good indication in the Fife Property Market and overall in the UK property market as well, because it's probably similar in terms of how it's running, how much supply, oversupply, undersupply, or equilibrium is actually in the market right now. We're also going to look at the headline statistics for our website compared to the 30 days in the period before. So the last 30 days on our website compared to last year's 30 days on our website. And actually, I'll give you a good indication as well about supply and demand in terms of the numbers of people hitting our website, which is actually quite interesting. Interesting numbers here, interesting stats. It'll give you a good insight into where you should be focusing your attentions on when you go to choose an estate agent. Because it is actually really revealing, or it is to me, and I'll tell you why. So let's go through some numbers just now. I've actually got them here. I'm just going to share them on my screen. If you just bear with me, I'll get them right here. Here's the first slide. Okay, this is right across the Fife Property Market itself. You can see in the week, overall, 124 properties actually listed. 119 properties actually sold in the same week. So pretty even when you break it down into regional areas. 9 instructed in Fife. This is through all the estate agents last week, according to the Rightmove statistics. This is where we lift these figures from. 9 actually sold in the same week. So Cooper Market's very, very stable. East Neuk, similar, 5 came on, 4 sold. St Andrews, 12 came on, 6 sold. Wow, 50% demand. That'll be interesting to see what that's like next week, if that swings round or if that stays like that. Leavenmouth, 8 came on, 12 actually sold, which is actually a really good result. That means there's a lot of activity in Leavenmouth. There's a lot of properties being sold in Leavenmouth. And I believe last week as well, Leavenmouth was actually more demand than actually supply. So if you're thinking about selling in Leavenmouth, probably now is the time. Interestingly enough, though, I actually broke it down, these numbers, into price bandings. And I'll tell you a bit more about that, about the supply and demand and the price points in terms of the actual amounts are selling and not selling. Okay, Dunfermline 59 versus 56, Glenorchy 13 versus 16, Kirkcaldy 18 versus 16. Overall, as I said, 124 listed, 119 actually sold. Good news. There's a few properties come on I've not included in this instructed column. It is the new build properties. Now, Keepmoat actually listed a development in the Glenorchy area. So that was about 8 properties, which are not included in there. It's only because they don't appear in the sold when they actually get sold. New build properties, builders actually don't, they put them on, but they don't actually put them down as sold. They just leave them on and then eventually take them off once they don't need them anymore. So it doesn't appear in the sold column. So in order to not skew the numbers, then we take them out of the instructed column. So it's comparing apples with apples. Everything we got taught in primary. It's probably it's probably the only thing I learned in primary school. A misspent youth, I would say. Okay, so here we go. That is these numbers. Now, let me just talk about, before I talk about what's been sold, what's coming soon, I can split these numbers into categories. So I did a wee ready reckoner here, and I'll just bring it off now in this. I broke them down to price bandings, these numbers. Why did I break them down into price bandings? Well, it was in order to see where the price points are actually selling very, very well. Now, in the price point from 0 to 300,000, there is actually an oversupply of property coming on. So that's actually a change from the previous month, because we had a lot less properties up to the 300,000 point coming on and more properties actually selling. And this month it's changed the other way around. So in other words, there's a lot of properties coming on up and within the 0 to 300,000 price banding, but there's not enough of these actually selling. There's a lot less. To give you a rough idea, there's about, I would say there's about 70, 80, 80 versus 65 out of these numbers, actually. 80 coming on, 65 actually sold. Interestingly enough, the 300,000 to the 400,000, there's round about, there's an undersupply in these types of properties just now. So if you've got a property about 300 to 400,000, there's actually good demand for that right now. 400,000 onwards, there's still an oversupply. This is primarily driven by the fact that the cost of a mortgage at that sort of level for anybody is quite a bit of money. So it usually relies on someone selling a house in order to buy a house at that price point right now. Very few cash buyers are out there right now at these sort of price points, the 400,000 and upwards. So it does rely on finding somebody that's looking to sell their house to buy your house. And this relies on an estate agent with a track record that possibly has a history and good chain building. So chain building is all about finding somebody that's got a house to sell, it wants to buy the house that you've got, and then you look at their house that they're selling, and then you find out the buyer buys their house, and then you find out where their buyer is and buys their house, and then eventually you get a first-time buyer or a cash buyer. It completes that chain, and then you make sure every single one of them goes through in harmony. That's basically what it used to happen years and years ago. And it's coming back to that sort of market right now. So it's a skill and being able to chain build, which is the most important you should think about out in a stage, as well as another key statistic I'm going to bring up in just a minute. We're going to jump on and actually look at this before we jump on to numbers. This is the website statistics for us. Look up here when I'll point an arrow. That's from the 27th of May, which is yesterday, back to the 28th of April. Now, over that period in the 30 days, we had 42,000 visitors. That breaks down to more than 1,000 visitors a day, 42,380, 42,381 divided by, it's 30 days, 1,400 visitors every single day to our website. So that's what we had every single day to our website on average. You can see it's up, it's higher, just slightly higher than it was last year when it was a boom market. That's quite startling. You could also see there, look, how the dotted line there, that's last year's previous period at the same time, how it's very sporadic up and down, and it's not really that stable. 1 minute it's down at 800, next minute it's up at 2,000, and that's primarily driven by the boom, the supply and demand and the desire for people to buy property at that point in time last year, and that sort of overheated market. Now the market's stabilized, you can see how it's more of a straight along here. So between 1,200 and 1,600 is the visitors every single day, which is the 1.4, as I said. So it's actually better in that sort of market to have a stabilization of these numbers. So that's actually a good sign in here, but also an encouraging sign is there are actually more visitors than there was last year. Now, that's probably down to clever marketing as well. It does that, and we've got a higher reach now because we're using better tools and than we used the year before. And I know that because I've been instigating them and building what we call a proprietary system, which is, in other words, it's unique to us. No one else can replicate it because it's custom built. And so that's the numbers in terms of website activities over the last 30 days compared to last year. So where are all these people coming from? What drives these numbers? Well, you can see there, it's mobile. It's people on mobile platforms. This is why it's important. Here's another key indicator here, to have an estate agent which has a really good mobile strategy. In other words, they probably record, well, we do record for that reason. For that very reason, we record in portrait, and we're recording any video content, and because it accommodates for mobile phones. Where if you record in landscape, which is when you turn your phone on its side, that tends to not go down very well with an audience because, quite frankly, they don't want to turn their phone. And it's easy just to hold it in one hand because everything accommodates it. Most platforms like Instagram and TikTok and that will not let you turn your phone. They just want to record and actually broadcast in the portrait format, which is the long vertical format, which is your natural hand for your holding your phone. So you can see they're all coming on the mobile platform as compared to last year. Desktops actually dropped and tablets slightly up as well, which people use as well. So tablet and mobile is the way forward. Desktop technology is disappearing pretty fast. You could see that in there in terms of these numbers, but it's still there. So we still have strategies for that. So let's move on and see out of these mobile audiences then, what's the most important thing? Where are they all coming from? And it's social media. Look at that. A 50% almost improvement on the figures last year in terms of the social media presence, in terms of where everybody's coming from. More importantly, 21,000. That's almost 50% of that audience. Direct traffic and organic or search traffic. Direct traffic is people coming straight to our website, just coming on Fife Properties. Organic searches, top of the website listings. Basically, when you put in a search on like Google or YouTube, it's coming up with that as well. So these are where it's coming from. Referral platforms are, referrals from Rightmove and Prime Location and Zoopla. You don't get much from there because Rightmove primarily, Rightmove, Zoopla and S1 Homes and that don't want any traffic leaving their website. So we use them still for that very reason. So over and above these numbers that I just showed you right here, you also have traffic from areas. And I'm going to take that banner off so you can actually see that at the bottom. Just take that off so you can see that number. See, that's the referral down the bottom there, the 186 in here. That's just referral because Rightmove, Prime Location, Zoopla, and S1 Homes and that don't like traffic leaving their website. So we use these mediums as well, and that boosts these numbers to almost about 60,000. So it's 60,000. So it's about 2,000 a day. It goes up to the number of visitors onto all our platforms in terms of what we're doing. Actually, there's about 15,000 views a month on the YouTube channel, which isn't incorporated into there either. So there's even more traffic comes into our platforms in terms of what we're doing. It doesn't take account Instagram either. It doesn't take account TikTok. So even on top of that, so there's a huge audience we gather outside of these platforms go into other media platforms as well. So hopefully that's giving you a really good insight into where these people come from and what platforms they're using. Mobile technology, recording in the right vertical format. Social media platforms are essential now because most traffic and most people are going straight to social media to see everything, and having that organic reach and also direct contact with customers to get them onto your website and stay top of the rankings is really important in your measure. And you will eventually, it takes a wee bit longer, remember, to sell a house because of the supply and demand criteria and because of the availability of mortgages and the affordability of mortgages for people on different price points. But it's all about just hanging in there, and it will happen at some point in time. It's happened for quite a lot of people actually, and I'll discuss that in a minute. So where are all these 42,000 coming from? Mainly United Kingdom. There's people from the United States. So that means basically 650 from the United States divided by 30. That means 22 people every single day from the United States area are coming on our website direct, just to give you an idea. The same way, actual Germany, about 20 people every day in Germany are coming on our website as well. In Spain, there's round about, I would say 161. There's around about 5 people a day from the Spain area, and it goes on and on and on. There's other people from right across. So we hit 142 countries around the world on average, and also have that huge social media presence and huge social media platform. Hence is what is essential. Hence the reason why we're selling properties to people from France. We're coming back to relocate here in the Falkland area and other areas around about Fife as well. You can't beat Fife. It's literally God's country. We don't realise that, but people outside of this area begin to notice that when you actually show them what is actually in Fife. That's why it's important actually to have a good social media presence, but also actually show people outside the area what Fife is for them. Because everybody knows it's bricks and mortar when it comes down to it. But the most important thing is you need to show them why they would want to live here. And this is all about promoting things like golden sandy beaches, Fife coastal paths, restaurants, bistros, cafes, schools, primary schools, top universities, private education, country walks, all the different amenities and facilities in your area, and then commuting outside of the area via train stations, via bus, via road services, out to Dundee, out further on to Edinburgh, Aberdeen, and all the rest of the different places. And that's what Fife's got going for it, quite a lot of that actually. Especially Leadmouth area. I was talking to Leadmouth Connect today, which is running the rail network, which is Network Rail, and they were actually saying to me that they will be finished the Leading train station and the line coming into here in the spring of 2024. That's a bold target, definitely a bold target, because that's only a year from now, and they've got a huge amount to climb, but they insist that they're still on track. They've got 8 different contractors working in the area on the same project, and they will make this deadline happen. So we're looking forward to that next year, early at this time of year. Okay, let's move on and talk about what's been sold, because this is what people want to know: what you sold and where you sold it, and how much was it. Interestingly enough, here's the first one. Lemon Terrace in Leven, that's sold. Now, that actually took a couple of months to sell. A 3-bedroom detached house. It was on at offers over 190,000, and it is now sold to an upsizer. Somebody upsizing, going up up to a bigger property, which is brilliant. Great health for the property market, because it allows these people in this property to either downsize or relocate somewhere else, or upsize as well to another property. And so that's sold. Again, as I said, took a couple of months, so it does take a lot longer than it was last year. Arncroch is away. That was sold in 6 weeks, so just over 1.5 months. 3-bedroom detached bungalow, listed offers over 350,000, and it is now sold. 3 weeks sold at 4th Street in St Monans. This was sold in 3 weeks, 4-bedroom end terraced house, listed offers over 325,000. Fantastic price point for the St Monans area. Really good location, and owners are excited to move into their new home in this area. So sold in 3 weeks, again, 325,000. If you've got properties like these, and these price points are like, wow, really? I've got a property like that, and it's really worth that, then speak to us. If it gives you better choices about what you want to do, and you can maybe do something earlier, like be mortgage free by selling your house and downsizing somewhere else, or selling your house and renting, if that's what you want to do, and release all your capital to go and do something in your later stage of your life, and you just go and do something with it instead of actually letting it sit in a house and build up, and just you don't get the benefit, then possibly this is the choice to make. So this gives you a good indication about what the price point is. Sold in 5 days in Glenrothes. This was Billsland Road in Glenrothes, sold in 5 days, 2-bedroom mid-terrace house, listed offers over 110,000. Went to a first-time buyer. And sold at Toll Road in Cellar Dyke. That was a 3-bedroom townhouse. That was offers over 350,000. Now, that actual sale, giving a wee bit of indication on this actual sale fell through the first time round, and then we sold the property again when it came back on within a couple of weeks. So that was really good at 350,000 for that one. That's the old school in the Cellar Dyke area. It was converted into townhouses. And Hatton Law House in London Links, it sold. That took about 3 months to sell. That was a 3-bedroom detached house, listed offers over 300,000, and it is a relocator that's moving into the area. That is a wonderful house. If you've seen the personal property tour that I did, it's amazing. It's a really spacious house, a great location. Hardly anybody comes up this road and down this road, so it's nice and convenient and nice and quiet, and really great countryside views to the back, and also from the top windows as well, and close to London Links, just down the road itself into the London Links area, and onto the main roads from there, and then over the hill you can go to St Andrews, about 10 miles away, 9 or 10 miles away. So that's what's been sold this week from us. Gives you a good indication about where the market is and how long it's taken to sell properties in different price bands in different areas. If you've got one like that and you think, well, that's a good price for me, then come and speak to us, message us direct, or call us on any of the numbers. Okay, so coming soon, Church Street in Fruquet. This is your opportunity, by the way, to message us if you're interested in any of these properties. Give us and we'll give you a heads up first when we do get more details on it. But the coming soons are properties that we've actually signed up, so they will be coming onto the market. We'll either be doing a pre-portal this week, or we've done a pre-portal maybe to the end of last week. So we're just indicating to you the now, so you know, because you might have not seen it yet. Church Street in Fruquet, 4-bedroom detached bungalow. Hen's teeth bungalows, very rare. One level living, brilliant for downsizing to. A 4-bedroom actually is a brilliant family home. That would be a good one as well. So 4-bedroom bungalow in Fruquet, Church Street. Beech Grove and Ladybank, a 3-bedroom semi-detached house will be coming on. Fairfield Road in Collinsborough, a 3-bedroom semi-detached house will be coming on. Yes, that's another one over and above the one we had already. Bowling Green Street in Methil, 3-bedroom detached bungalow again. And St Michael's Church in Cooper. We actually sold that a couple of years back, these properties, from that beautiful redevelopment and new in the church itself, the refurbishment, the whole restoration of it. It was absolutely beautiful. So the apartments are really, really nice. This is a 2-bedroom upper apartment, which will be coming on as well. If you're interested in any of these, please message us direct for more details, and we'll tell you when we'll have more details on the property and send it to you. Completed, keys handed over. Now we can tell you what prices went for, how much over the home report, how much extra, and that'll give you a good indication about where you are right now in terms of what you should be offering for prices in Fife. I think most people know prices in Fife, depending if it's a highly desirable property and you really, really want it and it's just come onto the market. You're probably going to have to offer a bit more than home report, a fair bit more than home report, but it's what it's worth to you. That's the most important point. A house is only what it's worth to someone and what they're willing to pay for it. That's the true market value. It's up to the estate agent to market it in such a way that it makes it extremely desirable and pushes all the right buttons to make sure you get the best price as a seller. And also it attracts a buyer, which potentially otherwise might actually just bypass it because it just looks like basic photographs. So you really don't want somebody that's going to be taking photographs on their mobile phone and actually just putting them on the website as the photographs. You want an estate agent with a professional photographer. You want an estate agent with creative content in terms of what you're doing, and not just explaining it's a 4-bedroom house and that's it. They need to explain what the area is to them and why people want to come and live there. That's what drives a market. That's what gets somebody otherwise on the fence about whether to buy a property or not, to actually come along and look at it. That's what clever marketing does. That's what our marketing does. Okay, so completed. Station Road in St Monans. This is a 3-bedroom ground floor apartment. It actually sold in just under 3 months. It sold for just about 3%, round about the home report value, £175,000. New owners are delighted with their home. 3-bedroom ground floor apartment, High Street in Pitlessie, 6-bedroom detached house. It sold just under the home report value. It sold in 7 weeks, just under a couple of months, and it was sold for £267,500. And again, new owners are delighted with their family home. So it gives you a good indication at this point that most buyers are offering round about the home report value. And why is that? Why are buyers just offering round about the home report value? Well, it's predominantly down to the fact that most of the prices now that actually went last year for maybe 15, 20, 30,000 pound over have actually caught up in the land registry, and they're actually registered now. Therefore, when a surveyor or ourselves go to look at the historical information about price points, about what properties have gone for, it almost matches what currently is available right now, and it's at a multiplier level which is comparable to the current economic situation for people average salary in the area itself. I'll give a classic example. Average house in Fife is 168,000. Yes, I think it is. Give me 2 seconds. I'll just check that because I do have the stats here. Average price point in Fife is 168,224. Average salary apartment in Fife is around about 31 to 33,000. It would take 31,000 and divide it into 168, 224, divided by 168, 224. It's 168, 224 divided by 31, 123. It comes round about 5.5, well, 5.42, actually, 5.5 times salary. Now, 1 to 6, in other words, 6 times salary, is still a really good market. Anything above 6 is an overheated market. So there's still a bit of leeway there in terms of the stability of the Fife property market in particular. And I actually talked about that in one of the shows I did this week, which was the Scottish and Fife House Price Index, which I did on there. So that's the average price, 184,877 is the average price in Scotland. Again, 33,000 divided into that is about 6 times. So it still makes it very tolerable in Scotland to buy. It's a good price point in terms of where they are, and affordability as well. Obviously, we've got inflation and stuff like that, which will affect us as well. And that's why people get a bit nervous, and that's why they're only buying within their means just now, because base rates have actually gone up and comparable to the last 10 years when they've been historically low. Inflation's obviously got a big thing as well. Food inflation is particularly high. Underlying services, underlying overall, inflation has actually dropped by from 10.1 to about 8.7. Now, but the key indicators, in other words, the services market and the other sectors, they've actually gone up as opposed to what they were before in the average inflation rate from the previous month at 10.1. So they've actually gone up, the core underlying figures in these figures, but the food inflation is actually keeping that 8.7 high. So the Bank of England is extremely nervous. Inflation is not going to be under control as they expected it to be. Therefore, you would need to factor in potentially that another base rate rise will be coming along in the next month when they announce it again. So I would play your numbers on that, be quite prudent about it, and what's the word? Cut your cloth to suit your purse or whatever it was. I'm not really sure. Cut your cloth to suit your purse. Yes, it's an old tailor saying. Yeah, that's right. Anyway, let's talk about. So I've talked about that one, the house price index. So hopefully you'll get information on that. Average price in Fife, 168,000. In Scotland, 185,000 according to the Land Registry. The other one, as we talked about, was the Fife Property Market's Enigma, cracking the code of Fife Properties puzzle for the first-time buyers. They've ever wondered why factors determine property values in Fife? Well, we talked about that in that show. Again, that link's on here as well. If you click on the link, the primary link, it will take you all to the other shows that were on there. Interestingly enough, as well, if you're a landlord, Richard and I did a podcast and a show yesterday about next generation landlords discovering the tactics that make buy-to-let still worth it in 2023. Yes, buy-to-let and property investing is still worth it if you get it right, but you have to understand the dynamics of the market. And if you understand the dynamics of the market, you'll understand where you should be investing and what you should be investing in. So we talked about that, Richard and I, about that. So if that's something you're interested in or something you're in already and you want to consider what you need to do next, then it's worth a read of that article or watch that show, especially with the changing legislation that's currently taking place in Scotland and in England in terms of what's going on, because the Renters Reform Bill in England is currently going on right now. Finally, let's get on to this. Let's take a quick look actually at the Zoopla numbers. I'm going to quickly look at Zoopla. I'm going to take that one off. We've been sharing before. And the reason I'm going to look at Zoopla is because I want to see where we are in terms of the number of properties available to buy right across Fife. So I am going to just make this a wee bit smaller, this screen. So just bear with me, and I'll pop it up in a minute and let you see it. And then I'm going to type in Zoopla. And I'm going to search there. And I'm going to come onto Zoopla itself, and I'm going to share that screen with you in terms of where we are. The reason I'm going to show you is because I'm going to check Zoopla to see where we are in terms of numbers right across Fife. So here's Zoopla. So we're going to type in Fife, and we're going to hit the button. Fife there, we'll choose it and we'll hit the button. 911 properties for sale. Now that's actually still really, really good in comparison to what it was pre-pandemic. Pre-pandemic, it was sitting at about 1,100 to 1,200 properties throughout Fife up for sale. So it still shows you there's a restriction in supply, which is why, despite the fact that interest rates are going up and base rates are going up, mortgages are still affordable, by the way, because you still get a 5-year fixed rate deal just under 5% for a 5-year fixed rate deal. And you're also getting 100% mortgages through Skipton Building Society for renters who have been in the property for a year. They're using that now as information to credit vet you. So that it's making it easy for them then to give you a mortgage at 100% because you've obviously got a good credit history already. And if the numbers work, then they'll lend to you. So Skipton Build Site is doing 100% lending. I don't know where that's going to go, but that's another story. We talked about that in previous shows. about what that implications could be. But the good sign is it's 911 properties right through at Fife up for sale, and it's a lot less than before the pandemic, which is 2019, 2018, which again, as I said, is good for the stability of the Fife property market. So hopefully that's given you a bit of hope. And if you've got your property on the market at this point in time, that the right buyer will come along at the right time. Buyer demand has dropped significantly from last year, about 40% on what it was last year. Supply has gone up about 20% on what it was last year. But all to play for. Interest rates, base rates have gone up. Interest rates itself, mortgages have gone up. You were getting a 5-year fixed rate deal at 2% a couple of years ago. Now you're paying 5%, which is almost 2.5 times what it was. So again, these are all factors to build into account. There's a bit of nervousness with inflation. People think base rates are going to go up, but if the numbers work and you can hedge, in other words, confirm what your interest rate is on a fixed rate mortgage, then there shouldn't be anything to worry about, because unemployment is still at a record low. So I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. There doesn't seem to be any indicators on the horizon that tells me unemployment is going to rise anytime soon. There's a restriction in the number of jobs, and there's too many people actually chasing these jobs. So the supply of jobs and the people needing jobs is actually a lot more than the supply of jobs. So therefore, we're still in a position where we've got full employment in the economy, which again is really, really good in terms of the housing market, how it affects the housing market, because it means that people can still afford to buy houses. It still means there's a good movement, and there's a number of transactions selling the property market are actually good as well. We talked about that in the Scottish and the Fife house price index show that I did on, I think it was Friday afternoon I did that, but it's on this post. Click on the link and scroll down and you'll see that show. You'll be able to listen to the podcast. If you can't watch the shows, there's a podcast there as well for you to listen to if you want to listen to it as well, where I discuss all these different informations. And I have guests like Perry, I've got Richard as well on there, and we talk about this overall. Finally, before I go, Wealth Creation shows tomorrow. We are going to talk about the 10 rules of wealth building and what that actually means, and how to invest in property, how to invest in any other sector, but primarily how to weather any storm as well. And the 10 rules of wealth building, I'll give you an idea about what these are. Get deeply motivated. We're going to go into detail with that. Give more value than you take. Live with 100% integrity. Be courageous. Be disciplined. Avoid conspicuous consumption. I know what that's all about. But you'll have to tune in tomorrow, or you can tune in later on to see it. Build supportive environments. Apply leverage to build wealth. That's a really good one. Leveraging your wealth. I actually met somebody yesterday who probably started doing property investing at the same time as me, and I know what they've got now, and I've literally got 3,000% more than him after the same time frame, because I treated my wealth like a business, and I also leveraged my position and used the bank as a source to help me leverage my position, which made even more money. And also, finally, as well, we're going to talk about tomorrow, and the 10th rule is steward your wealth. Sometimes it's easy to make wealth and easy to build wealth. I know some people watching will think I'm skin. But remember, I was there before, homeless and unemployed at one point in time, starting from scratch with no formal education, really. A couple of old grades and a shaky higher. I just passed. A flaky higher, I would say. I just passed in mathematics. But then how could that change in the last 30 years to get where I was and to be in property and investing and financially free? That's why I apply to what I talk about in the Wealth Creation show. So even if you get, and this is how I looked at it, I looked at people like Alan Sugar, and I thought to myself, Alan Sugar's 20 years older than me. Now, if Alan Sugar's a billionaire, I've got 20 years to do that. And that excites me, because you could do a lot in 20 years. What has other people done in 20 years? So what could you do in 20 years? even if in 20 years you were earning an extra, what, £1,000 or £2,000 a month, that might be pretty good. Even in the next 5 years, you're earning £1,000 a month, that would be pretty good. So this is what this wealth creation show is all about. So that's why we're going to talk about the 10 rules for wealth building. And some of this might actually resonate with you. And some people, it'll probably not resonate with them at all, but it'll stick there. And this is what happened to me. Some things actually stuck. And then at the point of readiness, maybe a couple of years later, the light went on above. And I thought, I remember what that was all about. It's like, now I need it. That information I just learned 2 years ago. This is why we do the wealth creation and the wealth building show as well, to more or less learn from each other about how we do it. And I talk to Richard, and Richard talks to myself, and it's basically based on my own personal experiences over the last 30 years. So hopefully that'll give you a really good insight into the wealth creation show. And I'll see you tomorrow for that at 12:30. It's going to be live. It's going to be on my public profile, my personal profile. It will be on our YouTube channel live as well. It will be on Twitter. It will be on TikTok. It will be on Instagram. You're better actually to watch it on YouTube for the people that don't have social media, because we are on YouTube live as well. So you'd be better to watch it on YouTube, because then you could get that. Or if you're on social media, you can watch it on there as well. But my public profile and my personal profile, sometimes we share it to the office profiles, but it really is a personal project for me. As a result, the wealth building show, and primarily it's no really anything to do with property, but it's to do with building wealth, and everybody should know about how to build wealth. So we'll see you tomorrow at 12:30 live for the wealth creation show, and until next time, as usual, have a good evening. And I'm Jim Parker for Fife Properties TV. Bye bye for now.